official call is under review. Let's go to the monitor.
SEC football. It just means more. Now back to your favorite bearded duo, Todd and Marty.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Under Review podcast. I am your host, Todd. Alongside me is my co-host, Marty.
The whole crew is here. The whole crew is here.
Our special guest for the whole episode today, Hayden Coker.
Oh, that's dope. I like that. That's dope.
Yes, sir. I told you I could hook it up a little bit.
There we go, Marty.
You know, graphics and what have you.
You getting a little crafty.
I'm getting there. So, what you see some of the graphics I got for this week, they look really good.
I can't wait to see them.
But this week is championship week. We have 9 total FBS games. There's some FCS games, but we're not going to get into those. So we had to bring in the guru himself, Hayden Coker, with this fine week we have ahead of us.
The expert.
No, not there yet.
Close enough.
Yeah, you've picked pretty good this year. So,
Hometown hero.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
We're definitely going to have to get you in our pick'em for next year.
Shoot, I kind of messed the bed in our pick'em that Todd did. I'm doing pretty bad.
I was number one. Number one.
Is that a different one?
I think I finished number 2. I'm sitting right at even.
Yeah, I went. Somehow I didn't go even. I still won. I don't understand that. But
Todd, which one is that one?
It was the one he had for the spread.
Oh, okay. No, because I'm still unless I totally bomb this week, I think I've got it.
Well, that could happen.
I didn't pick a few weeks, so that kind of messed me up a little bit.
Well, after all that is said and done, I think we're going to head into our sponsor real quick, and we'll get started with some games.
This episode of the Under Review podcast is brought to you by Chuck's Heating and Air. Chuck has over 40 years of service and experience with residential services. He services most makes and models. He is Alabama licensed, bonded, and insured, and locally owned and operated. Are you hot and you're supposed to be cool? Are you cool and you're supposed to be hot? Then you've got a problem. Call Chuck. Area code 256-892-2757. Again, 256-892-2757. Chuck's Heating and Air.
And that's right, with all your heating and air needs in this cold winter days, call Chuck.
That's what me and Hayden was just talking about, how cold it was, and it's not our favorite weather.
Well,
I'm in need of some heat.
I have no heat in my house. I'm running off an oven and a heater. That's all I have.
Hey, you know Chuck?
Man.
You got Chuck's number?
I think I do.
Call Chuck.
Yeah, exactly.
But if I run my heat right now, it's carbon monoxide. There's a hole somewhere, and I don't want it.
Not good.
I ain't got the money to pay for it yet.
I don't know if I have the time, but we had a scare here. One of the things in the oven went out the other day, and that night we went to bed about 3 o'clock in the morning. All the fire alarms started going off and scared the whole house. We thought the house was on fire. Yeah, so I guess from one extreme to another.
All right. Well, how about let's get started? Oh, well.
Todd, before we jump in, we have Hayden on, and this is the new top 25 come out early this week. I kind of want to pick his brain a little bit, see what kind of chaos is going to come with championship week.
Well, I think it's interesting how they kind of lined up the top 25 this week. I don't think Notre Dame's the top 5 team.
Right.
I don't think Penn State's the top 5 team. It's interesting. I think Oregon's number 1. Texas is number 2 right now. Obviously, had Georgia lose a few weeks back. They nearly lose to Georgia Tech. So I don't mind that ranking. I like Georgia at 5. Tennessee at 6 is fine. Ohio State at 7 is okay. I think SMU, obviously, they don't necessarily have the strength of schedule, but, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to knock them?
I think they got the players there, though. For that ranking right there, I think they got the players to compete. I mean, I'm still not a big Ryan Day fan at Ohio State at 7, but I think this week is going to shake it up enough to where you're going to get who's going to be there.
Well, I think if Ryan Day doesn't prove something really soon, I'm not going to say he's going to be gone because I think he's a pretty decent head coach. You know, he's winning. But if you really look at things, look at what Jim Harbaugh did with Michigan when he came in. Michigan was not the greatest football team at all. He didn't have a roster. He built that thing up. He was recruiting like crazy. Yeah. He was doing a really good job recruiting. And then Ryan Day, he was gifted. He was gifted a cookie box, and now he's done nothing with it. So it's
This is true.
yeah, exactly. You have to look at it from a different standpoint, and I just don't think that Ryan Day is anywhere near where he needs to be at all. He's got one of the most talented rosters in America, if not one of the most talented rosters of all time. So the fact that he's lost to an unranked Michigan team with 5 losses, and you also lose earlier in the year to Oregon, which is understandable. You're playing in Autzen Stadium, and everybody knows that Oregon's one of the best teams in America, and they have been for a while. So that loss to Michigan really, really, really kind of just throws my brain for a loop, because you have one of the most talented rosters in America, and now you can't do anything with it.
So ain't he like 1-4 against Michigan or something like that?
Not. It's not a good record at all.
I thought I saw that the other week, but he's like 1-4, 0-4, something like that.
He's 1-4. He won the first matchup, and that was it.
Okay, but still, for Ohio State fans, that's not gonna fly.
No.
So when my thing here, looking at the schedule, everybody's talking about how an SMU team ranked number 8 for what they have going this year. Whoa, sorry. For what they have going this year, with Peyton Stone being out, I guess he's hurt. He got mad or something. I don't know. But I know Hayden, watching some of your stuff at the beginning of the season, you was real fond of this guy. Coming into an SMU team, about week 2 or so, you kind of started going off that train after seeing him in this Rick Lashley offense. But with the kid at the helm now, I want to say it's Jennings.
Yeah, Kevin
Jennings.
Yeah. One of the best players, to like a plug-and-play guy, coming in and just doing what he's got to do. Got as an AP now, not college football rankings that comes out Tuesday, which this will already be out by then. But has him as an 8, looking at a good top 10 seed, going for the ACC championship in their first year. Could be something great. I like what they're doing there. And then right there at number 12 is the Arizona Sun Devils with Cameron Scatterbo. I mean, that team, to me, I think regardless, should be in the playoffs, win or lose. But, the Big 12 is only going to get one team in this year. It's going to be the champion. It's going to be them or Iowa State. So we'll see come Saturday which one of those teams prevail and gets themselves inside college football selection Sunday.
Right. So, Todd, before we jump into our games, I mean, the question for especially down here in our part of the woods, Auburn and Alabama and all that stuff, where do you think Alabama sits after, even let's say after this weekend unfolds? Where do you still see Alabama in or out?
For money, I see them in. Alabama is going to be a big-time team to get with the money. If you say you have an Alabama team going to South Bend to play Notre Dame, that's going to bring in a lot of money. Let's be real.
You're more or less talking about the monetary value of what Alabama brings to your city and stuff like that.
And that's what the College Football Playoff Committee is going to look at being the first year of the 12-team playoff. I feel like. I
agree. I think that Alabama also, though, with the way they're ranked right now, sitting at number 11, minus the monetary and money and all that jazz, you really look at their ranking right now, I don't think that they're going to fall out unless SMU cannot lose this weekend. If SMU loses to Clemson, then I think it's more of a story. I think it's more of a telltale story. But if you look at how SMU has been playing, I think that SMU is going to beat Clemson this weekend, and Alabama might squeak in that last spot. But you also have to think about Arizona State. They're playing in the Big 12 championship this weekend. I think they win. If they lose, obviously, I think it's a different story. But I think they win. I think that Alabama's rooting for all chaos this weekend.
Right.
They need chaos to happen like they needed it to happen last year. So Alabama's on the outside looking in right now, because I don't think anybody, with the way that projections of the Power 4 teams and the championships are going, I don't think anybody projects them to be in. But it's the projection of, hey, some of these teams are going to lose, and there's going to be some upsets, and chaos is going to occur. That under that thought, yes, they would get in.
Yeah. Another cookie for your thought before you swap over here. Crazy thought. All right, you see Boise here at 10, Arizona at 12. So, top 12, quote-unquote top 12 teams, right? All right, so if Iowa State beats Arizona State, they will get in. Okay, so that knocks one down. And then you have say UNLV somehow pulls out the upset against Boise State, depending on where the standings sit, you have UNLV and Tulane could get that higher, that group of 5 slot. So could that push Alabama out if they're sitting there 11 and 12? You also have to think about that as well.
Yeah, it's a whole ordeal right now.
It's
we'll
a what
find
if,
out a
what
lot
not.
more about it this weekend.
Yeah, it's a right now. It's at the point what if, whatever. I mean, like you said, Hayden, Alabama has squeaked in before with chaos happening 2 or 3 times, especially in the end of the Saban era, or during the Saban era. So I'm excited for this week. See where it shakes out. I mean, if they get in, Brittany's happy. If they don't, I'm happy. So I guess win-win.
Well, let's head on to it. Our first matchup brings us the MAC championship as the 9-3 Ohio Bobcats face off against the 8-4 Miami of Ohio Redhawks in Detroit, Michigan at Ford Field. 11 o'clock ESPN.
So before we super jump into this game, as I was doing my research, and not super research, but apparently this is a rivalry game.
Yes.
The Battle of the Bricks, or Battle of the Brick. I didn't get to jump too much into it. So it was, I guess I need to look more at it to figure out what it was about, but I just see some bricks in there. I thought it would be fun if people know what that's about.
And with that, October 19th, these have faced with Miami of Ohio winning 30-20 in Miami of Ohio. So they have played before this year. So take that into consideration because, like we've always said, it's hard to beat a team twice.
Yeah, it is. I think that I'll go Ohio in this game. I think that just from seeing them win or them take that loss earlier in the season, I think they learned a lot from that. And I think they come out in this game and they kind of assert their dominance and they beat up on Miami of Ohio.
Not so fast, my friend. I like the Red Hawks here.
The Red Hawks.
Yeah. Ain't that them?
It is. I
was just confused because we don't do too much in the MAC, and I was making sure. But no, their strength of schedule, both these teams is not real great, but conference play, they battled it out. Yeah, the Red Hawks got the first battle. I looked at some of their stats, and like I said, we don't know much, but I'm going to put my eggs in the Red Hawk basket. Yeah,
I'm going there too. With the Miami Red Hawks, looking for their second straight MAC championship title this year. They won it last year. They beat Toledo 23-14, giving Toledo their first loss on the season last year when they won it. I think Miami, Ohio will repeat this year only for the reason of the Gabbert kid at the quarterback helm. Blaine's younger brother.
Okay, I was trying to tie that in, but I wasn't sure if that was his brother. But yeah, his stats look fairly impressive. 21 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 2,600 yards on the season. Kid can throw the ball. So give me the Miami of Ohio Red Hawks to defeat that odd and win twice against Ohio.
Don't do that again, Marty.
Yeah,
do that again.
Like a dying bird.
And that game will be on Saturday.
Hey, speaking of dying bird, that's what they're going to sound like on Saturday night. Whenever the Ohio Bobcats eat them.
This next matchup brings us to the Sun Belt Championship, which will also be held on Saturday at 6:30 on ESPN as the 9-3 Marshall Herd takes on the Raging Cajuns from Louisiana Lafayette that are 10-2 for the Sun Belt Championship. Hayden?
I'll go with Louisiana Lafayette this year. I think that they win the Sun Belt. They've had a pretty decent season so far. You look at what Marshall did last week against James Madison. They beat them. They're coming into this game with a lot of momentum. But I think that Louisiana Lafayette is able to hold them off. I think the Raging Cajuns are they're built a little bit differently than Marshall right now. So I'll go with Louisiana Lafayette.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Hayden there. They are a bit different. Always kind of been a fan. I like the Raging Cajun theme. I like their mascots. I know that has nothing to do with the football, but like you said, the 10-2 record, they've really hung in there and find ways to win. So yeah, I'm gonna take the Cajuns here.
I'm taking the Herd on this one. They're playing spectacular football right now. With Braxton at the helm, 17 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But a lot on that run game, 864 yards from A.J. Turner with 6 touchdowns. They're 60% chance for the Raging Cajuns in this one.
Right.
But give me the Herd for some reason. I don't know if they've played this year. Let's see. Not seeing it. No, they haven't played this year. So first matchup of the season for these two teams. Give me Marshall because we are Marshall, so let's go to Herd.
It looks like we're all going against the grain here today. So
There's not a clean sweep yet, so
no,
not yet.
I think we're doing okay. On my show the other day, we picked all three of us picked Auburn, so it wasn't the best pick 'em, but
yeah, good.
You learn, you move on.
Still good show. I enjoyed that with Mr. B and Cody.
That's very nice of you, Marty. I'm gonna come over there and give you a big old hug.
Oh yay, thanks.
This next matchup is the AAC Championship, which will be played on Friday, 7 o'clock on ABC. As the 17th ranked Tulane Green Waves at 9-3 face off against my Army 10-1 Black Knights.
Is Army still ranked?
No.
Army's not ranked.
Okay,
No.
Okay, but they have been this year, haven't they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they got up to 23 at one point, but then they got the doors blown off of them by Notre Dame. So
yeah, that's what swapped everything.
Yeah. Well, right here, I guess I'm pretty sure Todd's going with the Knights. I'm going with the Knights. I've watched them play. They've had an incredible season. I think they really dig deep. I know Tulane's the higher ranked team here with them god awful helmets.
Oh, you watch it now.
Watch it.
Watch it.
Those are clean.
I think to a certain extent, but that blue and green don't go together. Not saying that has any doing against playing football. Yes, they had a really good.
That is despicable. That is a beautiful combination.
Yeah.
Oh, that blue and green, that's awful. Anyway, but I'm going to take Army here and stick with Todd.
Well, I'm gonna have to debate a little bit on this one. So you look at Tulane, first year head coach, and John Summerall. He comes over from Troy. I think that Tulane's got a good shot to win this game. They've had a pretty good season. Obviously, you lose the last game of the regular season. I believe it was on Thanksgiving night. Look at what Army's done this year. Army's had a fantastic year. Head coach is up for Coach of the Year. I think that Army's going to keep this one close. I think it'll be a really close game down to the wire, but I'm going to go with the Tulane Green Wave in this game. I think they have a little bit too much firepower on the offensive side of the football, and defensively they kind of shut down that Army run game. So I'll go with Tulane.
Todd, flip back real quick if you can and see what's the numbers on this game as far
that's
as
what I was looking at. 66% in favor of the Green Wave, 33% in favor of the Black Knights. Last year for the AAC Championship, the SMU did beat the Tulane Green Waves in the championship, as Tulane is now playing for another championship this year. So, looks like Tulane cannot perform in the big games, I say.
The choke artists, we say that.
Give me the Army Black Knights that are 10-1.
All righty. You talked about SMU. You talked about SMU winning the AAC last year. You talk about them winning that conference and then skipping over to the ACC, jumping over there. Does that not say a lot about the ACC right there? You go out and you get a team who's not necessarily well known for their football. I mean, obviously they're a good team in the Group of Five. Now you come up to the Power Four, obviously, because the Pac-12 isn't necessarily a thing anymore. Obviously, it is, but we don't really talk about it.
Yeah.
But if you actually dive into it, I think it's really interesting because SMU is actually they're going into the ACC championship this year. We'll talk about that game a little bit later on.
Right.
And they have a chance to win the ACC in their first year after moving up from a Group of Five conference. So I think that's very interesting.
Most definitely. There, Rhett Lashley, man, awesome coach. I've got to meet him a couple of times when he was with the Tigers. I think he's an amazing was a coordinator and stuff like that. So he's really propelled this team. I know we talked about in the pre-show, if any of y'all remember the 30 for 30, the Pony Express, after the death penalty, which, I mean, it takes years and years to get over that. But I think Lashley's got this program going in the right direction with the horse. God bless Mustangs.
Yeah.
The horse.
Yeah, I'll stroke there.
I'll say this, though. If you're not looking at Rhett Lashley for a Coach of the Year, why are you not? He took a team from the ACC, the AAC, to the ACC, about to win an ACC championship, from what could be happening. How could he not be in the running for Coach of the Year? He has a good resume, SMU doing their thing, but as Rhett Lashley at the helm, done a great job these past 2 seasons for SMU.
Mm-hmm.
I've been extremely impressed. So I'm ready to get to that. I'm ready to get to that prediction here in a little bit because I think it's going to be a really fun game to talk about.
This next matchup, here we go again. This next matchup is a good one in the Mountain West. That's funny to say. It's a Friday night game that's kicking off on 7 o'clock on Fox against the 22 UNLV Rebels and the number 11 Boise State Broncos.
The Old Tapper Mountain West Football Championship. I think Old Tapper is jerky, and I like jerky. But I have been a big fan of Boise State all year. Not so much of the field. I think it's outplayed. That's beside the point. But Ashton Jeanty is the man. I think he's really the key here. I don't think he's going to win the Heisman, as me and Cody talked about, because Travis Hunter is the dual threat on both sides of the ball. But I think Jeanty gets it done here with Boise State.
I wasn't sure where you were going with that there for a little bit. I started talking about beef jerky. I was like, man, he's about to get on a tangent. I didn't know where he was going with it. But number 22 UNLV has a pretty good season. This is a team that was absolutely awful. Then you have Barry Odom come in. He's been at the head coach there for a few years. I'm really excited to see how UNLV fares off in this game. Obviously, you lose to Boise State earlier on in the year, but Boise State just seems to have that it factor about him. Ashton Jeanty's been playing out of his mind. At quarterback, you have Maddox Madsen, who's really been that he's been good. He hasn't been one of those guys that's going to go out there and take over a game for you, but he's one of those guys that can really facilitate an offense, and he's more like a game manager type deal right now. Obviously, their main go-to right now is Ashton Jeanty, so I don't necessarily think that he has to do all that much in order to win this game for Boise State. I will say UNLV, with the way they've come this year, you have 2 losses on the year so far. I think that UNLV will get it done on Saturday or on Friday night. This is a much more polished team than what we saw earlier on in the year whenever Boise State beat them earlier on. So I'll go with UNLV. I think they win this game and upset the Broncos.
Well, in the last matchup, Boise State did win 29-24 2 months ago. So the predictions got them at a 68% chance for the Boise State Broncos. But I don't see how anybody right now is stopping Ashton Jeanty running the ball. Still, to me, my clear Heisman favorite because just the numbers he's doing. Yeah, Travis Hunter's playing both sides of the ball and doing it okay. But this is a once-in-a-lifetime running back. This dude has better numbers than Derrick Henry. Like, who can say that?
There's not many people that can.
Exactly.
I will say that he's had a fantastic year. If I won't be upset with whoever wins the Heisman, I think that both Travis Hunter and Ashton Jeanty are very deserving. I won't be upset either way, but I do think that this is going to be one of the best matchups of the weekend. Obviously, you have games like Georgia and Texas over the weekend as well, but I think this one's going to be a really fun one on Friday night.
Yeah, I'm going Boise State, staying true. So just try to get over with that one.
Nice man getting after it.
Yeah, he's hungry. Get on to the next one. And this one, in Jacksonville, Alabama, brings us on Friday at 6 p.m. The Western Kentucky Hilltoppers travel down to Jacksonville State for the Conference USA Championship.
As Riley Green would say, take me into old Paul Snow and show me to my seat. Man, me and Brittany talked about even trying to go to this game, which would have been fun, but we got so much stuff to get ready for the wedding that we're trying to do. But both these teams 8-4. Yes, they played last week, and Western Kentucky squeaked it out, I think 19-17.
Yep.
So, man, this is probably one of my favorite. I'm excited for to get to watch and see. Is it Tyler Huff?
Tyler Huff.
Okay, yeah. Amazing season that he's had. I know Hayden had him on his show. That was one of my favorite episodes. I like his insight. And I didn't know that he was doing the military thing as well. Thank him for his deal. But again, I think Jacksonville State finds a way. They get back on the grind. They find their mistakes. And both being 8-4, I mean, great matchup, pretty good conference play this year between all the CSAU teams. It was a tight race near the end. Jacksonville State, last week was their first loss in conference, but I think they grind it out. Huff finds a way, and I think Stewart's their running back.
Yeah, Trey Stewart. Yeah,
Trey Stewart. Okay, man, just watching this team play, I'm excited. I'm going Gamecocks.
I think that this is going to be a really close game. Obviously, you had Tyler Huff go down in the last game against Western Kentucky. I think this is going to be a really interesting matchup because his status right now, I'm not necessarily sure what it is. It's a little unknown. I believe he's questionable playing this game. This will be a really fun matchup. Obviously, this game's taking place on Friday night at 6 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. I'm really, really excited for this game. Last week, when they played Western Kentucky, they hit a walk-off field goal, and then Jacksonville State tries to put together what has to be a Hail Mary type of deal on a drive or a
which they have done before this year.
Yeah, they have done before, but then the magic just kind of runs out. You had Logan Smothers kind of step into the quarterback position, who hadn't played a bad game at all. And there's an alarm going off somewhere outside right now. But there was a
duck.
I don't know what's going on over here in Stillwater, Oklahoma, but there is some type of alarm going off. I don't know if I need to hit the deck or what. But this is going to be a good game. Logan Smothers or Tyler Huff, whoever it may be. I think that it's going to be Tyler Huff. But I think it's going to – there it is again. I'm not sure what's going on outside. But this is going to be a fun matchup. It's going to be the Cox versus the Tops. I think it's going to be the revenge of the. I think it's going to be the revenge of the Cox. Okay, so I'm going to go with the Gamecocks in this one. I think Tyler Huff kind of balls out. The status on him, we will see. I think he's going to do okay in this game. Obviously, it was his left knee, but if he does end up playing, I think that's going to be the difference maker. Huff is a really, really, really tough dude. Like I said, Jacksonville State's not the biggest team throwing the ball. They're not going to go out there and just sling it all over the field, but they're going to run it down your throat. And I think that guys like Trey Stewart, Andrew Paul, and Tyler Huff, if they indeed are all healthy, then I'm going to go with Jacksonville State. But if not, I think it's a little bit different of a ball game. But I think that he will be healthy.
Right. I did not know much. I didn't know that Huff went down. But like I said, that does change the aspect of it. But I think Jacksonville State around them has the weapons to, especially they have the game film from last week and really can rely on that. And hopefully Huff's playing because I enjoyed watching him play. And again, I'm staying Gamecocks here.
Yeah, that's why I'm going Jacksonville State. No surprise.
No,
I think they're going to get their revenge this week. Should have had it last week. Good thing nobody bet the house on that one.
Right.
This next matchup is the Big Ten Championship, 11 o'clock on Saturday morning in Arlington, Texas, as the number 18 Iowa State Hawkeyes?
Yep.
Cyclones. Versus the number 16 Arizona State Sun Devils. It's a good matchup.
I like it. I like it here. They're going to Jerry World. This is our first matchup for the Big Four, as we call it. Now, this is the Big 12. Like Kate said, ain't much, but both these teams are ranked. I mean, I don't know a ton about them as far as their ups and downs or how they played. I know Iowa State stayed in the top 25 this year and hung around as Arizona State did. But again, I'm a numbers guy, and I've went against the numbers twice in my picks already. So I'm not going to it. I'm going to go with the Sun Devils.
Hayden?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with. Sorry, my mic was muted. I'm gonna go with Arizona State. I'm trying to drown out that alarm that's for some reason going off, but I'm gonna go with Arizona State in this one. I think that Iowa State has I think their luck has kind of run out. I'm not gonna say luck, but I think that Arizona State is a little too physical. Cam Scatterby has been playing out of his mind this year. He's one of the best running backs in America right now. He's very physical. He's a leader in that locker room. Quarterback Sam Levitt, he's been playing really good ball too. So I would go with Arizona State in this game.
Yeah, I'm in that same position as you. Our Cam Scatterbo on the year is 247 carries, 1,398 yards, and 17 touchdowns, which marks him 9th on the year for touchdowns, and is ranking also inside the top 10 in yards at 8, right under Trey Stewart that we've just previously talked about. But that just shows you how good running backs are this year. And I haven't seen a team yet that kind of slow him down. He is on a tear right now. Couple 150-plus yard games these past 3 weeks. So very excited to see him do what he does against this Cyclone team this week. At a 44% chance, though, Arizona State has for winning. So people are leaning towards the Iowa State Cyclones in this game.
They're physical up front. I'll give them that. They're physical up front, but I'm going to go with the athletes on Arizona State's side of the football.
So our first clean sweep of the show, we're going the Devils.
The Sun Devils. Well, Jesus is probably not very happy with this. I mean, I think he'll be all right. I think he understands.
Yeah.
Well,
For this week.
Yeah, this week.
A biggin in the Big Ten as the number 4 Penn State Nittany Lions travel to Indianapolis, Indiana at Lucas Oil Stadium to face the number 1 12-0 Oregon Ducks. 7 o'clock CBS Saturday night.
No, nobody this year has really proved to had a chance against Oregon. I see, yes, the Ohio State game was close, and whether Ohio State just lost the game because of Will Howard or they're just a really good match team. Dylan Gabriel has done outstanding things. I don't know if he's going to go to New York for the Heisman race, but he's really had strong contention all year. Not been a Super Ducks fan after the Auburn championship, but I do. Just to think, I think Corso picked the Ducks. It was in a pond. It just drove me nuts. But no, I like what Oregon's got this year. I think they're really tough, and probably this is one of their biggest stepping stones for getting to that national championship. Give me the Ducks.
I'm going to go with the Ducks as well. I don't think that Penn State is very good at all. I'm going to go ahead and say that. I think they're a very average team. They don't have the schedule at all this year. You beat an Illinois team, which is your best win on the year. Minnesota, you beat them in Minnesota. Now, Minnesota's a decent team. And I just don't think that Penn State is where they need to be as a program. I think their head coach is not good. I don't like James Franklin. I don't like where he stands. He's a good recruiter, but I don't necessarily think he's a great head coach. Some of the play calls are just wild. The offense seems to always be stagnant. I don't see them putting up over 10 points in this game. I'm going Oregon. I think they blow Penn State out of the water. I'm going to go with Oregon 28-7.
Ooh, got a score prediction in there too.
Yeah.
I definitely go hating about like the James Franklin deal. I've just never been a big Penn State fan. I hate the whiteout. It's silly to me, but it's their deal. But yeah, Oregon.
Penn State score a touchdown. May not score a touchdown.
I'm picking Penn State.
Really?
The reason why.
That's a little
let me
shocker.
get numbers here. All right, so they're 11-1. Only open up as a 3-point spread favorite for Oregon. Oregon's a 46% chance to win this game. Penn State's a 53% chance. Drew Aller, 2,668 yards, 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Not a good passing, we know that. And then Nate Singleton on the running back crew, 121 carries, 733 yards, 7 touchdowns. Spread the love. I might be crazy. We can call it. We'll talk about that Sunday. But call me crazy. I won't. I'm taking Penn State with an upset.
I don't mind the pick. I don't necessarily think that Penn State's going to be able to do anything offensively. Oregon's defense is really, really nice this year.
Yeah.
So
that was my point here, that the Oregon defense is just super stellar. Singleton's had a good year. I think he's one of my guys that plays on my fantasy team. But I think, like you said again, Hayden, defense is too good. Oregon's just right there where they need to be at number 1.
It'll be a fun game regardless. I like the pick.
Most definitely.
And here it is, the ACC Championship at the Bank of America Stadium, home of the Carolina Panthers in Charlotte, North Carolina, as number 12 Clemson, 9-3, faces the number 9 ranked SMU Mustangs at 11-1, 7 p.m. on ABC.
Yeah, this is probably one I'm going to have to sit down and watch. This is, it's the same time as is the SEC game at 2:30?
2:30, of course. It's always at 2:30.
Okay, so good. Then I'll have time to watch both of these. I'm super excited about this. SMU has been one of my little underhorse teams I've liked to watch this year and keep up with them. They've balled out crazy this year in the ACC, which ACC hasn't been as, I won't say as strong. Guess when we say ACC, we think of Florida State and their 2-9 record. But I like Mustangs here. I thought Klubnik was going to do a whole lot better last week in that loss against South Carolina. But maybe he's fighting for revenge. But I watched some game tape on SMU, and Their quarterback, man, he throws bombs, and him and his receiver are that 1-2 combo that you need here, and I think it's going to play heavily in this game for the Mustangs.
With the way earlier on in the year that Preston Stone kind of went out and Kevin Jennings kind of took over at that quarterback position, I think that they really started to get a little more of a click. Yeah, Preston Stone came in against Nevada, and they almost lose that game. If it's not for a miracle, then SMU loses that game. But the rest of the season they've been pretty dynamic. You lose to BYU at home, big win for BYU there. But I think that SMU, with the way they played over the last 9-8 weeks, they played some really good football. I think that Kevin Jennings comes out. He really kind of asserts himself as one of the better quarterbacks in the country. He's good. I don't know if anybody else has watched Kevin Jennings out there, but if you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Most definitely.
Now, Boston College, you play a really tight game against Boston College. I get that one. But he made some really nice plays. I think defensively up front, they're very, very stout. They're one of the best in the nation against the run right now. I think that Clemson's going to have a hard time moving the football, kind of like they did against South Carolina late in the game. Earlier on, they found some success, but I don't think that Clemson's going to have that same success against SMU. SMU's a little bit more physical up front, I think, than South Carolina, so I'm going to take SMU in this game, and I think they win it and assert themselves as the number 4 team in that college football playoff, or the 3 team.
I agree with you. I'm sticking with the Tide here on the picks. We're taking SMU. We're gonna ride the little pony down to the station.
Pony Express, baby, hop on.
Well.
But it's not. But it is not.
Oh no!
It's not in a far realm that Klubnik can come in and have. We've seen it all year that he does play well. I mean, and yes, we've all talked about that South Carolina defense being outstanding this year. But if Klubnik comes to play, I think it's going to be a whole lot tighter. But again, Hayden's points, how SMU has played this year defensively, and the quarterback there is so could be one of the best games we have this week.
Yeah, I agree. It could. Number sitting at 53% in favor of SMU, 2% favorite in point spread point spread's actually 2.5 for SMU. So it's going to be a close game. But like I said, I'm taking the Mustangs on this one. I like Rick Lash. I like what he's doing to that team.
Oh, most definitely.
Coach of the Year candidate, along with some great names inside everywhere this year. But I'm gonna take the ponies. This next matchup brings number 7 Georgia 10-2 to face number 3 Texas Longhorns inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia, 3 o'clock on CBS for the SEC Championship.
He's going to restart it again. So,
I guess so. Try it again.
We've already seen these teams play. I mean, we've seen Georgia struggle all year as which half they want to play. Texas really not so much, I say, struggle as consistently as Georgia has struggled. But Ewers, Manning, the guys like that, they put it together. Still sitting at that 3 spot. Georgia, I mean, they win when they have to kind of guess. And I'm not a big fan of Carson Beck by any means. I do like Nate Frazier. He runs hard. Man, it's going to be an exciting game. Georgia got the first win like 30-17, something like that.
15.
15, okay. And yes, like we talked about in the earlier matchups, they're not the same team as they are now. But the way Georgia has fought against the way they did against Georgia Tech, how they had that massive rally comeback in Alabama, I'm going the underdog here and picking the Bulldogs.
So Georgia's a really nice team. This is going to be a really fun matchup. The way that you look at guys like over the years when for instance, Stetson Bennett, I think that he's a much better quarterback than Carson Beck is. I think Carson Beck sees ghosts at times.
Say it with your chest.
Yeah, I'm going to say it with my chest. I think Stetson Bennett is much better. It was much better.
Stand up,
Carson Beck was. I don't think that Carson Beck handles pressure well. You look at how – now, I give it to him. In the Alabama game late, he did okay. In the Texas game late, he did all right. He played a really good game. But he's not necessarily winning these games. He didn't win this Georgia Tech. He didn't win against Georgia
No,
Tech.
that definitely Georgia's defense and Jake Davidson.
Yeah, I certainly think that Georgia is going to keep this game close. I mean, obviously, two of the top teams in the country. I think that Georgia's really, really nice. They're very polished up front, but they've got some injuries on that front line. They haven't been great all year on the offensive line. Look at Texas. Their Texas defensive line has been outstanding.
Yes.
Here, they're very, very physical up front. They're outstanding. Now, when it comes to Texas and their secondary, I think that they kind of shut down Georgia's passing game. Obviously, I think they have a success, and they will find some success in certain areas of that passing game. Obviously, I think Nate Frazier comes into play when it comes to getting out of the backfield, whether it's a screen pass, whether he's running those wheel routes. I think that he's going to make a difference in this game. Nate Frazier has come on late into the season, but I think that Texas is going to win this game. And the way that Quinn Ewers has been playing, obviously not been the best ball, but I think it's good enough to get them by. So I think Texas wins the SEC championship in their first year in the SEC. And you also look at what Steve Sarkisian did last week whenever Arch Manning came into the game at times. He wasn't bad. So I think that they execute that really, really well this weekend. I think that Texas wins.
Yeah, they Arch really come in. That first drive, it was still 0-0. And I think he had four or five carries, but that big 15-yard touchdown run really got the Longhorns fired up and got into it. So even if they do start to struggle against Georgia, I think Stark is going to stay with Ewers. So even though I do like the Bulldogs, I think this is probably going to be the best game of the 9 that we have.
You know, I was talking about this yesterday. And yeah, we talked about, they played early in the season. Teams have won a lot of ways. You know, Georgia was the better team in that game. And then I was talking to some guys at work, and it was like, well, Texas has just got better. Okay. In their opinion, yeah. But in my opinion, Texas, when they played the first time, is better than the Texas now. Quentin Ewers is still trying to find some things out ever since that injury.
Explain that for me.
To me, he's not looking as polished as he was at the beginning of the season. Like, before his injury, the dude was unstoppable. He comes back, and now I guess they got a taste of Arch, so they want a little piece of each other's cake, so to speak. So it's kind of, I don't think Quentin Ewers is going to lead Texas to the promised land in their first year. I would take Carson Beck, Nate Frazier, and the Smith kid at the wide receiver position to lead that Georgia offense.
That Arian Smith kid, he really struggled last week. I mean, yes, he made some catches, but I know he dropped 2 touchdowns for sure. One in the back of the end zone. I don't know if it was whatever, but over the years, he's played really well. So we know the weapons are there for Georgia. Yes, Texas does have them, but I think UGA gets a bite of Bevo right here in this SEC championship.
Oh, hold on. I don't know what's next.
Oh, that's me. I'm slacking.
So, as we wrap up our show today, we're going to get into something that we did early in the season called our SEC Honors. They will be announced next weekend, I want to say. It's coming up. And so it's the perfect time to re-allude of what we have talked about in previous episodes. And who's going to...
This is not our pick show?
This is our... Yeah.
I was about to say, 'cause we in trouble because the next 5 slides are picks.
This is who we think is going to take home these SEC honors in a week or so. So, Marty, go ahead. Flippy dippy. So, we have the first is Offensive Player of the Year. Hayden, go ahead.
Yeah, so I kind of struggled with this one. I went back and forth between Dylan Sampson and Jackson Dart. I think that Dylan Sampson has been very, very important for this Tennessee Volunteers team this year. You've seen Nico struggle at times, and then Dylan Sampson's just kind of picked up where he's struggling. He's had some phenomenal games. He's getting the ball over 25 times a game, over 20 times a game, every game. And I think that's exactly what Tennessee needed to do all year, because Dylan Sampson is obviously a difference maker in this offense. So I think that they did a really nice job of utilizing Dylan Sampson. Jackson Dart, on the other hand, he's been phenomenal. You look at the Florida game. Obviously, that's an outlier. You can pick out multiple games that were outliers, 2 or 3 of them. But I really think that Dylan Sampson is. I think the award belongs to him. He's just done a phenomenal job of helping out that Tennessee offense this year whenever it's been needed. So I'm going to go with Dylan Sampson.
Yeah, Hayden, I really mirror everything you said. Sampson has been the wedge for this offense. As Nico struggles, he goes in and out. Sampson has been your constant. 22 touchdowns, 1,400 yards. Close to that 1,500 mark. On the other hand, I've never super been a Jackson Dart fan, but the proof is in the numbers, the pudding, whatever you want to call it. The new record at Ole Miss set by him now marks the standard. 3,000 yards or almost 4,000 yards this year, 25 touchdowns, only 6 picks, and then an 84 QBR rating. I like him too. So either one of these guys take this, I'm not going to be upset. Right. But I still like Sampson. I think he's done more for Tennessee altogether than what Jackson has done for Ole Miss. Not saying he hasn't put in the work and the effort and to win games and stuff like that. For me, it's Dylan Sampson.
Yeah, I'm here for Jackson Dart. To me, he has a good year. Dylan Sampson, is a close second. Dude has been electric all year round. But when you look at it, I think the magnitude of play, I think definitely if he wins that Florida game and don't choke, you should give it to him. But now it's a little conversation of, hey, who's playing better right now? Right. Dylan Sampson's played better all year, though. Jackson Dart's had a couple hiccups. It could go to Dylan Sampson, but I'm sticking with Jackson Dart. That's my choice.
Guys, we can all agree. Either one who gets this is a well-deserving candidate. Yeah. So,
definitely.
Absolutely.
And Defensive Player of the Year. We have two guys here, and let's talk about it. Hayden, what you got?
I'll go Whit Weeks. I think that Whit Weeks did a really nice job on the defensive side of the football for LSU this year. Fantastic linebacker. I went with Whit Weeks because it seems like he was just that it factor for this LSU defense this year. Now, you can talk about their record. They've lost 4 games this year when they really weren't supposed to. Yeah, that's fine. I understand that. I completely understand it. Kennard, on the other hand, has been really, really phenomenal this year. I'd take nothing away from him, but I got to go with Whit Weeks in this one.
Yeah, I see that too. I'm a big Whit Weeks fan. I've watched a lot of his stuff. The big game where he had like over 20 tackles and 2 sacks really showed what he is and what he does for LSU, which is very top tier. Now, at the beginning of the year, I was super set on Debo Williams being the anchor for this defense at South Carolina, but I think he didn't have but 29 tackles, maybe 1 sack, 1 forced, just not the numbers we were predicting. But in that sense, Kyle Kennard really picked up the game and was him, or however the kids say it. 20 solo tackles, 11.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, really balled out this year. Come to find out, I did not know he was a Georgia Tech transfer. I think he had 4 years at Georgia Tech, transferred in this year. And really excited. I think he's got 80 tackles in his career, which is not bad at all. Tons of sacks and stuff. So I think it's going to be Kyle Kennard this year. Really could be a good NFL player for a team, but he's my man.
I picked Kyle Kennard, but looking at the numbers, I picked him at 11.5 sacks off of that end position is very good,
Yeah.
So, you don't really see that a lot in college. It's very rare when you go up into the NFL ranks as well. But if individual awards, or if team record didn't affect individual awards, I definitely would have gave it to Stone Blanton or Isaac Smith from the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Mm-hmm. Both of the kids put up 120-plus tackles, just swarming the ball. One's a safety, one's a linebacker. But, as me and Marty's talked about, they predict individual awards based on a team effort for some reason. So, knowing it's not going to go to them two, it's probably going to go to Whit Weeks, who's third on that list. Yeah. But I just really, really fond of what Kyle Kennard has done this year.
Well, Todd, overall, there's even in all these categories that we're going to go through, there's so many other players in the SEC that could win this, but because numbers and all that stuff that you and I have talked about, like I said, weeks, it's just been phenomenal. The guys from Ole Miss have played great. There's other people on the South Carolina team, Alabama, even though I'm not a big fan of Malachi Moore, but I thought if it wasn't for his tantrums and attitude, I think he would be a top grade player. As far as on the field, one of the best, but a lot of that gets drowned out.
Right. Let's head on down to the next one. Freshman of the Year. We have 2 candidates here. Hayden, what you got?
I went with Lenore Sellers. I think he's been phenomenal this year. He's really taken that South Carolina team to another level. While I believe it's his second actual year. He's a redshirt freshman. He's been phenomenal, man. You can't deny that at all. Cam Coleman, he's been really good, but he caught on late. Lenore Sellers, he's been really, really dominant all year. And for him to take that South Carolina team to where they are now, without Lenore Sellers, then I'm not necessarily sure where the South Carolina team is. You have Robbie Ashford, who stepped in whenever Lenore Sellers was hurt against LSU, and he didn't play bad, but obviously you still lack that certain play that Lenore Sellers puts on the field every single game. So I went with Lenore Sellers, and I've got to go with my gut, because if you look at the way that he played this year, he really transferred South Carolina into a playoff contender.
Oh, most definitely. I thought, Sellers, his dual threat ability in the later games this year have just been outstanding. He was the big part of the South Carolina upset, or the Clemson upset that they had last week or so. His numbers don't lie. 2,200 yards, 17 touchdowns, 7 picks, QBR rating of 70.3, which definitely, like I said, I know we say freshman, but the 2-year red shirt, I think he's done the most as a freshman quarterback coming into the SEC that could really propel their team. But on the other side, like you said, we're Auburn fans here, but Cam Coleman, he did come on late. He had a few early touchdowns, but he really come on late as far as him not having the best quarterback to do with. I think his talent is limited. Yes, we could say Ryan Williams, but I really think at the end of the day, Ryan was a flash in the pan the first couple of games and then kind of settled into mediocrity there at Alabama. Yes, I know he scored 2 touchdowns when we were there, but it was against Mercer. Talented kid, not taking that away from him. I just think the hype, he did live up to the hype early in the season, but lost it late. Cam Coleman really picked it up at the end, averaging 16 yards to catch, 8 touchdowns, 37 receptions, and right at 600 yards at 598. So either one of these guys, but I still got my blue and orange on, so I'm going to go Cam Coleman.
Yeah, I picked Cam Coleman in this one, but you also got to think, if it's not Cam Coleman and it's not Lenore Sellers, it's Nico Iamaleava from Tennessee. So...
Oh yeah,
to me, I think that's the second or third option.
He could definitely be on this slide just as well. He did have some struggles that like me and Cody talked about, a couple bonehead plays, but that's what freshmen are. They're learning, and I think he could be in his sophomore year, be one of the most polished quarterbacks that we have coming back in the SEC. Which big things for him at Tennessee, but he could easily fit in this top category here.
Definitely. We'll head on down to the next one. Special Teams Player of the Year. Hayden, go ahead.
I've got to go with Peyton, man. I think he played absolutely phenomenal this year. Like I said, he didn't necessarily miss. He was pretty automatic all year. He was pretty automatic all year. And you can say the same thing about Caden Davis. These are 2 really good guys. They're going to be some who are really nice pieces for these teams. Obviously, Ole Miss isn't going to be in the postseason, but Georgia is. I think he's going to make that impact, and I think that Peyton has come a long way. I'm going to go with Peyton.
Yeah, I like kickers here in the special teams, because you think special teams, that's a lot. That's punts. You got your punt returners and stuff like that. But When it's clutch time, I think kickers have the most on their shoulders. We've seen it this year, misses and walk-offs as far as that. Even like in the Jack State game where they threw the Hail Mary, the kicker missed he missed the extra point, went into overtime. But both these guys, I really can't, because they both at 100%. Wooding had a 55-yard longest, and so did. So, I mean, these are almost pretty much twin brothers here as far as stat-wise. Actually, they are. 80, yeah, so they are the same. So, and I do like Davis. I do like Wooding. There could be other people, as in returners. I think there wasn't but a handful of punt returns that got brought back. I know
Barry Brown had one.
Who?
Barry Brown from Kentucky had one.
From Kentucky, I think Vandy had one. Really didn't jump to it, but when I think special teams, I think of punters and kickers. Again, as I've said before, Pat McAfee is one of my favorite players of all time, college, professional, and everything. And I just like the kicker. So, like I said, these guys are well deserving of this award.
Yeah, definitely. I picked Hayden Davis. Unfortunately, Auburn ranked in dead last with 17, 19, and 20 on the rankings for the worst kickers this year.
Which is shocking for Auburn, because Auburn always has a great special team or kicking department.
I think when McPherson comes back, they'll be a lot better.
Yeah, it's just a growing pains year. I think I picked at the beginning of the year. I think I picked Trace Mack, I want to say.
Yeah, that sounds
I picked Grant Nicholson from Alabama. That's who we picked.
I think we both did. But we did talk about these, not these two guys, but I think we picked Nicholson, and that was the one.
Nicholson finished 17th with right above all the Auburn players, so that says a lot.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking earlier, is that Alabama's kicking game hasn't been great for many years. I mean, last year they had Riker, which was an NFL type player, but that's their first big kicker they've had in a while, besides Tiffin back in the 80s or so. But hopefully we can get things squared away. But
right.
This next category is going to have some questions.
All right, well, let's hit it. Coach of the Year.
Man, it was a good year for these new coaches. Or I say new coaches. It was a really good year for some of these coaches. Shane Beamer had a really nice year. Billy Napier, he surpassed expectations. Clark Lee, he really surpassed expectations. I don't really think that anybody expected for South Carolina to be up there in the mix for the playoff earlier on in the year. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe somebody out there did. But I didn't think so at all. I didn't see them as being anywhere close to it. So I went with Shane Beamer. Obviously, you have really good options like Clark Lee and Billy Napier. Napier, who had a really good year, and Clark Lee as well. And it's difficult. It's a very, very difficult choice, but I went with Shane Beamer.
Very solid choice, though.
That's very. As you and I talked last night for a little bit, Hayden, on this. Now, I mean, we could probably squeeze one more in here, but would kind of be an afterthought as Sam Pittman as well, because Todd and I was for sure that Napier and Pittman would be gone after this year, and they still could be. But I think, as you and I talked about, is what Napier has done from a projected 2 to 3 win team got them to. Did they get a bowl game?
Yes, they did get a bowl game. Yeah. They ended up winning 7 on, or was it 6? I believe they ended up winning 7 on the year, actually.
Okay, so really, really a guy fighting for his job here, and I think he done a heck of a job with what he had. After Wentz goes out, DJ Lagway steps in and done DJ Lagway stuff, as you could say. But all around, I think I'm going to stick with Todd here. I like Clark Lee. I've watched some of his post-game stuff. I like his intensity, what he took from a Vanderbilt team that has had no success in the recent years, has really turned him into somebody that has hope. And for the future, hope is always a good thing. And with Lee, I think they can start moving up to being that, I don't want to say a top team like the Georgias and the Alabamas and stuff like that, but I think Vandy's name is now in the chat for stuff like this. So that's why I like Clark Lee.
Yeah, definitely. I picked Clark Lee here just for everything that he's done this year, revising the Vanderbilt Commodores, getting them back to a bowl with Diego Pavia and his company. So great to see what's going to go on leading forward towards National Signing Day, which is this week.
Yes,
This week. Portal starts next week, so
which is fixing to get crazy.
It's about to get going. Make sure you're following on Facebook because it's going to be a lot. Because we won't be able to.
All three of our jobs as podcasters just got real serious when, as people that we've already know, like Mike O'Reilly's gone, Hayden Garner's out of Auburn. I think an Alabama lineman left. It wasn't one of their big guys, but still, this is where it gets crazy. It's a little overwhelming sometimes, but nonetheless, this is the new college football and what we have to deal with.
Yeah, it's about to get real, so make sure you're following all three of us, and you're following both of our pages at HCS Media for Hayden Coker and his stuff. You going live Thursday?
We'll be going live Thursday from Stillwater, Oklahoma.
All right, so y'all check into that because the college football playoff poll will be out by the time that his show comes out, so I'm pretty sure he will hit on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be a fun one. It'll be a fun one on Thursday. So y'all be sure to tune in. 6 o'clock.
Make sure you're voting on Facebook for the best all-time logo tournament. We are now in Arkansas week with some pretty
out there.
Yeah, we'll go out there. That's the word we're looking for.
So
out there.
Hayden, take a look. Which one do you like here?
You want me to tell you which one's the ugliest or which one's the least ugliest?
Two's the ugliest. Let's be real. Two is the ugliest.
Yeah, two's got.
Two's bad. Two is bad. 3 is bad. 6 is bad. 5 is bad. 4 is bad. 1 is bad.
Hey,
8 is less bad.
Yeah, 8 is less terrible.
I'll go. I actually really like their new logo, or I say newer. Their current logo. I like their newest logo.
Yeah, they do. I did look at some others. They do have some basketball ones that are a little bit different. But for me, I like the 50s. I like the retro, as y'all know I do. But number 4 is probably the craziest. He's like he's been munching on the corn from the old feed bag, and he got fermented corn, and he's just wilding out.
You ever seen the Clemson Tiger mascot?
Oh, dude, we're going to do, hopefully in the off season, we're going to do a show with like old crazy mascots because there's a ton.
It looks like the Clemson Tiger mascot number 4 right here have hitched up and taken some hardcore supplements. So
right, hey, if you
that
think
number 4 has got that riding glass in him.
Yeah, it's bad. I don't know what that is.
But no, that one's crazy. But I think the Cocky, the South Carolina one, look at his. I think late 70s, early 80s. Man, it is nuts because he looked like he's on that high-speed chicken feed for real.
Well, you know, what another great episode it was. Thank you for Hayden Coker for stopping by and just chatting it up and giving us your insight on some of these great championship games. Going for gold this week, these teams are. Some teams, it's their first taste of gold for the year. Some teams, it'll be just another trophy to go along with their trophy case to finish out the year. So it was great to have you on. Great to have your insight as always. And like I said, be sure to follow him on all platforms. Get his lives going. You know, pop in there. You have multiple lives during the week too, as well, correct?
Yeah. So usually it's I'd go live on my regular, like on my normal Facebook page, my personal page, on Wednesday for my Jacksonville State radio show. But we're not doing that anymore this year. Okay. Consider I'm not there. But yeah. But on Thursdays we will be live. I think I'm doing 2 shows this December. I'll be doing this one, and then I'll do one in a few weeks on bowl week. But due to the lack of due to the lack of time, that's a massive factor.
Time is the biggest factor in this game.
Yeah, we'll be doing 2 lives, I do believe, throughout December, and then probably 1 or 2 to start the new year.
Well, all right. Like I said, we appreciate you. Remember, everybody out there, God loves you. We love you here at the Under Review Podcast. Special thanks to Chuck's Heating and Air, Hayden Coker, and HCS Media, Dad Pod with Hunter Brassfield and Nicholas Adams, Brandon Trammell, and Judd Dickinson.
I'm about to say, you got that one whippy, dude.
Hold on now.
We'll see y'all next week. Peace out.
Thanks for making the call to go under review. Join us next time as we go to the monitors. Until then, keep your flag handy.